I'm so happy to be talking about a subject that is very close to my heart, about animals.
oo ay taariikhdu tahay 17 bishii tobnaad 2020 waxaanu soo qabanay 10 harimacad 10 ka harimacad oo ay nagula jireen ama hawlgalka ay nagula jireen wasaaradda deegaanka
ka yaala Somaliland wildlife-ka waxa weeyaan waxa la soo saaray 2015 waxa la yiraahdaa Wildlife and Forestry Act baa la yiraahdaa.
Is involved in principally two aspects. One is an in-depth analysis of the legislation specific to wildlife and wildlife trade, and then also to make recommendations and work together with the Somaliland team to develop proposed amendments.
Many of the cheetahs come in because they have been catching livestock, or the livestock farmers see them and they want to catch them.
All the animals that we are taking care here in Somaliland, there are victims from smuggling. So they were taken from the wild and they are now in captivity. So we are trying to give them the best quality of life that we can do it here.
I am working cheetahs for Kenya cheetahs, and also I'm assisting education.
Very demanding. There's a lot of work, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard work, but it's very gratifying.
My name is Edna Adan Ismail, and I'm sending this message from Hargeisa, the Republic of Somaliland, a country in the Horn of Africa. And I'm so happy to be talking about a subject that is very close to my heart, about animals, all animals. I love nature, I love animals, and particularly to talk about the rare species of animals in our great continent in the world. As we all know, there's millions of species of animals and insects, and only one species of humans. And somehow we have found that because we have the means and the intelligence and the inventions that man has made, we have forgotten that all animals have a right to be with us on this planet. And sometimes we take advantage of our intelligence to snare them, kill them, which is a great pity. And there are rare animals, like cheetahs, a beautiful animal that is becoming so rare because we are taking its small babies from it, its cubs. We're killing the mother, we're shooting the mother, the babies die. We shoot the father, the male, the mother will not have any more babies. We're destroying the environment where they grew, where they grazed, where they hunted.
Distinguishable from other big cats by its black tear-like facial streaks and evenly spaced solid black spots, cheetah are the world's fastest land animal, and they are a marvelous and interesting species. Unfortunately, in the last 100 years, we have lost 90% of the wild cheetah population, with less than 7,500 of them left in the world, making them an endangered species.
harimacadku dadka wax ma yeelo sida shabeelkoo kale dadka wax ma yeelo kolka waxa loo baahan yahay maadaama uu durjoogteena ka mid yahay inaynu ilaashano meena socotaan maxaa loo baahan yahay in la ilaasho soo maaha oo durjoogteena soo maaha.
If you ask a nomad from Somaliland about a cheetah, more often than not, what you will get is a negative response. To Somaliland's nomadic pastoralists, cheetahs are predators and harmful to their livestock, and in turn, definitely not good for their livelihood. With cheetah cubs being captured from their mothers and sold on the black market through local and international traffickers, trafficked cubs are the biggest threat to the cheetah population in Somaliland, as it threatens the continuation of the species. However, the tide is turning.
maanta isugu nimid hawl muhiima inagoo waalida inagoo muwaadiniin Somaliland ah inagoo dad mas'uul ah oo halka u nimid ama darajo ina soo gaarsiisay ama aqoon ina soo gaarsiisay ama dadnimo ina soo gaarsiisay waxaan halka isugu nimid inaynu ugaadheena aynu badbaadsano.
When the cheetah conservation charity came to Somaliland, they somehow heard about me and having had a cheetah once and a lynx, and we connected, and I was very honored and very happy to be invited to serve on their board, to be a member of the committee, and if there's anything I can do to add my voice to all who are looking after these rare animals, I am here for them.
Now, the Cheetah Conservation Fund, an international organization that is actively involved in the conservation of cheetahs and the ecosystems that they inhabit, strive for a world in which cheetahs live and flourish in coexistence with people within a sustainable system that is protective of the environment, socially responsible, and of course economically viable. Together with their main partner here in Somaliland, the Ministry of Environment and Rural Development, the CCF is on the front lines of wildlife conservation in the country. Now, the period between July and October 2020 was a successful and eventful time for all parties involved in conservation efforts in Somaliland, including the CCF, the Ministry, and the police.
oo ay taariikhdu tahay 17 bishii tobnaad 2020 waxaanu soo qabanay 10 harimacad 10 ka harimacad oo ay nagula jireen ama nagu hawlgalka ay nagula jireen wasaaradda deegaanka waxaanu ku soo qabanay meesha la yiraahdo xeero harimacadada oo aha kuwa kotarabana.
Now, several interceptions, including a major one in Hargeisa, saw the rescue of 13 cubs, along with the apprehension of 8 traffickers, which eventually led to the capture and arrest of Somaliland's most notorious trafficker.
waxaa kaloo nuu sheegaynaa dadka u qarinaya ama gaadiidka u qaadaya iyagana inay la mid yihiin ka siday inay la mid yihiin ninka dambiilaha ee aanu ku hayno tiraba 3 jeer oo hore maxkamaddu waa ay ugu xukuntay xayawaankan tiraba 3 jeer bay ku xukuntay maxkamaddu maantana waanu ku haynaa.
Enacted in 2015, Somaliland does have an existing law that governs wildlife issues. However, it does have its shortcomings.
sharciga ka yaala Somaliland wildlife-ka waxa weeyaan waxa la soo saaray 2015 waxa la yiraahdaa Wildlife and Forestry Act baa la yiraahdaa sharcigaasi sharci aan ku shaqeynay imika weeyaan waa sharcina anfacay oo imika naga anfacay shaqada naga anfacay laakiin sharcigaas oo kale wuxuu u baahan yahay in waqtiga la socdo iyadoo loo miisaamayo shuruucdii international ka ahayd ee dawladaha kale loo taala sites oo kale la eego halkeeba maxaa ka dhiman annagu markaa sharci ahaan waxaan u aragnay imika in ay tahay in dib loogu noqdo ammaanad la sameeyo meelaha qaarkood oo gaabs ka jiraan in la soo kiciyo oo markaa gaabska la buuxiyo si uu u noqdo isaga qudhiisu ula jaan qaado shuruucda internationalka.
Recently, a project funded by the UK government through the Illegal Wildlife Trade Challenge Fund called LICIT was established in the country. The project, which stands for Legal Intelligence of Cheetah Illicit Trade, sees the CCF partner with the International Fund for Animal Welfare and Legal Atlas.
Legal Atlas is involved in principally 2 aspects. One is an in-depth analysis of the legislation specific to wildlife and wildlife trade, and then also to make recommendations and work together with the Somaliland team to develop proposed amendments.
Now, Legal Atlas has expertise and experience in conducting research to identify gaps in the national implementation of international treaties and in the compilation and assessment of legal frameworks, and they too stumbled across the same existing gaps.
The analysis that we've done has shown us, and I think that a lot of people are aware of it, that there are some basic gaps in the current legislation. One of those, of course, is that the penalties associated for wildlife trade simply aren't sufficient to act as a deterrent. They're also effectively the same. It doesn't matter if you've trafficked a cheetah or if it's an animal that has lesser value. You're still penalized the same. It doesn't take care of accomplices. A number of aspects related to the penalty section are gaps that need to be taken care of.
Despite Abdi Hayawan's conviction last year being unprecedented in terms of penalties handed, the ministry is also in agreement that the laws governing penalties need revision to become more specific.
markaanu eegno galdaloolooyinkii ku jiray ama gaabskii ku jiray markaanu soo saaro oonu ogna qaar oo penaltiga oo kale uu aad u yaryahay markiiba la iibsanayo qofkii baxaayo midalada qofka intaasoo jeer ku soo noqday caadiysta iyo qofka mar kaliya dee lagu qabtay way isku low.
Now, in addition to law specificity, stricter laws are required to ensure traffickers are aware of dire consequences, as in the case of Abdi Hayawan, who had previously been arrested several times on the same charges. However, his arrest last year saw the courts hand him a 4-year term, topped off with the largest fine in the country's history.
intaasoo jeer dee maaragtay lagu qabtay mar walba iibsaday mar walba xarig yaroo sanad ka yar haddana baxay waxay ku tusaysaa imika in dawladdu u soo jeesatay qofkaasoo kale in la mariyo ciqaabtii uu mutaystay ayay ku tusaysaa.
The introduction of the LICIT project has been a great step forward for the ministry and Somaliland.
horta LICIT programka naloo keenay horta faa'iido fara badan buu noo lahaa sababtuna waxa weeyaan xoogga wuxuu saaray shuruucdu saaray sharciyada Somaliland u yaala marka aynu ka hadlayno wildlife-ka shuruucda u yaala internationalka ee dadka ka dhaxeeya caalamka ka dhaxeeya bal waxay oranayaan iyagu iyo kuwa Somaliland si isu waafaqayaan labadaas horta xoogga la saaray.
joogta Ilaahay wuxuu ku manaystay duurka oo ugu talagalay in lagu ilaaliyo.
In addition to identifying gaps in existing laws, the 5-day training program not only allowed for capacity building within the ministry, it also led to the creation of a unit of individuals with the common goal of tackling illegal wildlife trade.
marka this program kalkalana wuxuu naga sii caawiyay capacity building wasaaradda oo iyada qudheeda waxa ka qayb galay 30 qof baa ka qayb galay 30 way ka badnaayeen 30 qof inta ka qayb gashay ka qayb galayaashaasi waxa ahayn dad gebigooduba runtii qaara ay u lahaayeen cilmi qaara aanay ogeyn oo waxbaba ka ogeyn marka kuwii cilmiga u lahaa inuu waxbay sii kororsadeen kuwii aan waxbaba ka ogeynina waxbaba kuma oga marka taa qudheedu kor bay u soo kacday oo runtii marka ay ogto capacity gareeyo capacity building baa loo sameeyay ka wasaaradahan waxa jira unit cusub imka la bilaabay oo iyaguna nala shaqeynaya oo dadka wasaaradaha laga keenay iyo dadka iyagu xagga lawska maaragtay ay judicialka ka yimi Minister of Interior bay ka yimaadeen waxa ka yimaadeen baxriyada waxa ka yimaadeen police-ka waxa ka yimaadeen military dad fara badan iyaguna nala shaqeeyay ayaan soo xulay oo unit loo sameeyay marka si ay ula dagaalamaan oo garab noo siiyaan waajiba trade-ka imika de waqtigan socda aanu imika de xoog la dagaalameyno oo ah illegal trade-ka.
From joint media campaigns that highlight the illegality of cheetah trade to education on wildlife laws and the repercussions for breaking them.
The cheetah is suffering today from issues around many things.
The most important aspect of wildlife conservation is undoubtedly education and awareness, both of which the CCF and the ministry's efforts are centered around.
waxay noqotay marka ugu dambeeyana in awareness sidee loo qabanaya awareness sideen isugu wada tagaynaa awareness-keena kor u qaadan inagoo ka hadlayna wadanka gudihiisa iyo borderka.
Now recently the CCF intervened a situation in Las Anod where 4 cheetah cubs had been captured due to human-wildlife conflict.
Wildlife conflict. Many of the cheetahs come in because they have been catching livestock, or the livestock farmers see them and they want to catch them.
The CCF has found that in Somaliland, wildlife-human conflict and illegal trade go hand in hand. A major problem in the remote parts of the country, pastoralists capture cubs whose parents they suspect of attacking their livestock and then sell them to traffickers. Now they believe this issue can be tackled with patience through awareness-raising programs, essentially turning pastoralists away from cub poaching to cub protection.
kan wacyigelin badan bay u baahan runtii waa inay jirtaa wacyigelin joogta oo soconaysa berigii dhaweyto imka CCF oo kaanu kala shaqeynaynay waxay iyagu qaateen awdal iyo galbeedka ay laga sameynayay waxa laga sameynayay runtii wacyigelin heer sare ah maaha wacyigelin lama yiraahdo heer sare ah oo maqal iyo muuqaal iyo wax walba isku jireen wasaaraddan waxay qaadatay Eastern Regionska oo iyaduna the same marka horta marka ugu horeyso waxba ugu horeeyaba inaanu hay in ay continuation lagu sameeyo istaba joogo waliba istaba jooga sidii dadkan wacyigooda kor loogu soo qaadi lahaa waayo waxaad bedelaysaa mindset maskax markeeda hore meel ku tuun garaysna oo dhinacayagiisa xagga soo jeedinay.
Now, one such instance of educational cooperation between the two organizations was on the 13th of August this year in Bur'o, where they co-sponsored an event titled the Consultative Conference on Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation in the Eastern Regions of Somaliland. Now, the objective of the conference was to develop a common stand on the conservation and protection of the national environment and biodiversity, as well as reach agreements on how to protect and address the environmental and wildlife problems together.
They get things like gastritis, stomach problems from living in captivity.
Now, by having several regional leaders in one space and uniting them under a common agenda, Dr. Laurie Marker of the CCF was able to bring to light the issue of conflict between the wild animals and farmers,
So what we do is we work with keeping cheetahs living in the wild. And in order to do this, we work with local communities, we develop environmental and social and economic changes to try to help people live with cheetahs.
She spoke on the benefits of carrying out livestock training in Somaliland, which would manage conflict issues with predators and allow for harmonious continuity between farmers and cheetahs. Now, for the CCF, caring for cheetahs at their safe house is not their ultimate goal. It is, however, for the greater good of the cheetah population.
Like all the animals that we are taking care here in Somaliland, there are victims from smuggling. So they were taken from the wild and they are now in captivity. So we are trying to give them the best quality of life that we can do it here. But of course, like, we don't want more animals to keep coming to captivity. They belong to the wild and they should stay there.
Caring for orphaned cubs is not an easy task, but it is essential to ensure the continuation of their species. The CCF has a dedicated network of individuals to help conservation efforts in Somaliland and around the world.
I'm Dr. Ahmed. I'm one of the local vets that's working Cheetah Conservation Fund. I am working cheetahs for caring cheetahs, and also I'm assisting educations.
Because most cubs arrive at the safe house in bad shape, from being ill-treated by captors to being hurt in the capture and transportation process, qualified veterinarians are essential to the CCF efforts.
Many of these cubs, when they arrive after confiscation, they come in a really bad state. It's really hard to save them and stabilize them. They come with dehydration of more than 8%, 10%, that their lives are already in risk. They come with malnutrition because the people that do this, they don't know anything about the biology of the animals. So they give the wrong food for them, causing GI problems, diarrhea. So all of that increase the probability of dehydration. Many of them are also not handling properly. They can come with broken bones. Without a tail, we have a cat. Also, they cut the nose of one of them, so they can come in a really bad state. Many of them are not gonna survive, even they travel from the confiscation until here. So it's a really hard work to try to stabilize them from the beginning, and then to make sure that they still are in a good, with good care. So the nutrition is okay. Making sure that the hydration is okay, that they are getting the enough kilocalories that they need, the nutrients that they need. So we have to supplement many things that the mom will give it, but we can't do it like that.
Apart from having qualified veterinarians ready to receive the cubs, they conduct training for animal veterinarians and equip them with the necessary knowledge to allow them to treat and give emergency treatment to cheetah cubs.
They eat all the things that are necessary for the feed. The other one take instead this to protect the cold, the weather.
The task is not an easy one.
Very demanding. There's a lot of work, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard work, but it's very gratifying. You know, every hour that you're with the cheetahs, every hour that you're taking care of them, you know, all of the work that you put in, it shows, and it just comes back to you. So when I go out there at 7 a.m. and I'm going out and cleaning their enclosures and, you know, scooping their poo and all of that, you know, and getting rid of their feces and cleaning it, it really is satisfying work. And even though it is hard work, you know, at the end of the day, I like going back in the afternoon and seeing it clean and seeing them enjoying themselves and knowing that it makes a difference.
With all their hard work and dedication, the CCF and the ministry cannot stand in the fight for wildlife conservation alone. Support and partnership with bordering countries is crucial in both stopping the crossing of wildlife through borders as well as preventing the escape of traffickers.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Somaliland, I'm delighted to attend this important meeting on countering wildlife trafficking and smuggling networks in the Horn of Africa.
A great advancement in tackling wildlife trafficking in the region, the two governments of Somaliland and Ethiopia met in the Somali state for a 2-day event in November of last year, coming together to discuss ways in which the two nations can work together towards bringing an end to illegal cheetah trade.
runtii wax badan bay tareen waayo horta marka hore waa la isbartay oo dadku waxaan ka wada shaqeynay way isbarteen marlabaadka waxa weeyaan isku hadaf baa leeyahay isku fikir baa leeyahay war waxaan sidee asadkan u baxaya sideen ugu joojinaa xayawaankan xoolo waxa weeyaan natural resource keena ama khayraadkeena dabiiciga si ama Ethiopia ha lahaato ama Somaliland ha lahaatee ma dalka ha lahaatee si inuu uga joojinaa waayo wixii waa trade wixiina lama ogola waa illegal si inuu illegal kan u joojinaa inagoo gacmaha haysana inagoo ka wada shaqeynaa qolna xagga ka shaqeynaysa qolna xagga ka shaqeynaysa si inuu waxan bal wis joojinaa sidee haddana dalalkii iyaguna iibsanayay ee qaadanayay marka meel eeda uu jiro dee dhimaan sabalaygana uu imanay meeshuu doono ha u soo maray.
The message I'd like to leave behind with the world is please take care of them. They are there for us. They're beautiful. They add to the wealth of our country, of our nation. They show our humanity. They show that we have that intelligence to appreciate the value they bring to our people, to our country, far more than little amount of money that may be paid for their skins and their pelts and their horns. They are far more valuable alive and far more beautiful alive. And I'd like us all to work together to protect them, protect their environment, protect them to be with us because they belong with us. We don't own this planet more than they do. They own it as much as we do.